Hi everyone, and welcome again to my audiovisual channel. My name is Gabriela Handal. I'm a draftsman, and today I'm going to talk to you about the how I sharpen pencils. And maybe along the way something will be useful to you, or you want to try something that'll help you sharpen your pencils to a super pointy point. Okay. So where do we start? The way that I have set up the camera here is so that the view is as if you had, as if you were sitting down, looking down at your hands, sort of like on your lap, but like in between your legs, sort of, and you were holding the pencil and the blade this way. And so, like, if you look down at your hands, this, what is on the screen there would hopefully be what you're looking at. So hopefully, like the way that I'm holding things is helpful in terms of like orientation and how you would be holding it yourself. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how I sharpen pencils, and I'm gonna do 3 pencils. Okay, so the first one is gonna be a pencil that has already, that you already exposed the lead, and you made it pointy, but then you used it and it's blunt again, so we're going to sharpen it again. That's one. And for that, I'm going to use this Staedtler 2B pencil. Then I'm going to show you how what it looks like when I sharpen a pencil from, when you get a brand new one that doesn't even have like the semi-sharpened thingy tip. And for that, I'm going to use Blackwing 602. And finally, I will show you how I sharpen a charcoal pencil. This one will have, like the pre-sharpened thing that they have. For that, I'm going to use General's 6B Extra Soft. And I want to show you a couple of things that I think are cool just because they're nice details. The graphite lead is a narrower cylinder than the charcoal. I don't know the reason for that. Perhaps because charcoal is a little bit more porous and brittle. That's just conjecture. I have no idea. I'm speculating. Because, they both have binder, and the binder is meant to hold the lead, make the lead feel more solid and everything. But anyway, that's a bit of a tangent there. In terms of this white stuff that you see here, that's perhaps a tip. It's something that I find helpful. So like this is actually my trash can. And when I sharpen my pencils, I put the trash can between my knees, or my thighs, my legs. And I usually have, like, I'll make it a point to throw away the papers with which I clean my nose, which are, paper towels and white colored things, in my trash can where I sharpen my pencils, which I have under my desk, because I find it very helpful. I find it's very helpful. It helps me a lot to see the shape of the tip that I'm sharpening. So like the tip is dark gray or black, and so like the contrast between the color of the lead and the white background helps me see the shape the lead is taking. It's very easy for me to see that. So that's one purpose of this, because I stuck back here like this as a background, this piece of paper, so that it helps with you seeing that, and will also, because it seems to be really helping it helps my camera here focus better. All right, so the blades that I use are this type of one-sided blade. I actually forgot to take out the thing that holds this. Maybe I can do that real quick. Just give me a minute. Okay, so this type of one-sided blade, or I don't even know if that's what it's called, but this is the type of blade that goes inside of this device. It's a really great, straightforward sort of box cutter, or just cutter. I don't know if it's a box cutter. It probably works just as fine as a box cutter, but it's this type of blade. I don't know what happened to this thing. I don't know why it's broken back there. But anyway, this device is really cool, very straightforward, very helpful. It's like very small. You know, if you are an artist or like a handy sort of person, you want to carry something, you know, you want to carry around something super helpful, this device is awesome. I don't know what this is called. This is not what it's called. That's like some pet medicine or something. I don't know. But this device is really cool. So the other sort of blade that I use, which is another one-sided sort of blade, it's this trapezoidal shaped one. These are both the previous rectangular one and this trapezoidal one is they're both Alway, both made in the US. Okay, and this one goes inside this sort of box cutter. All right, this box cutter is also pretty cool, very nice to hold. You know, very, like, I use this when I'm packaging stuff and cutting the shapes of things for packaging. This thing is really cool, and so this blade goes in here. All right, I don't have a flat screwdriver for me to show you this stuff, but it goes in there. Okay, yeah. So these are the two type of blades that I prefer to use for sharpening my pencils and getting a super tippy tip. Okay, so I think I actually took notes for this. Let's see if I want to say anything else about blades. Or sharpening, the tool with which I sharpen in general. So I do use sharpeners occasionally, but that's really in circumstances under which, you know, like if I go to a model, like an open drawing with a model session type thing, that could, like, you know, I'll use a sharpener in that case, because, you know, you just want to sharpen quickly and stuff. And there's no need for detail work, which is what I usually use these super tippy, pointy as hell pencils for. Okay, so then let's start with this one-sided blade and the Staedtler 2B pencil. This one here. All right, why aren't you focusing? You were focusing a second ago. Anyway, right, so with these, I usually have a slightly older, slightly blunter, slightly blunt feeling blade, and a newer one, a nice fresh new one. All right, and so with the slightly older one, I use it to kind of wilt and expose wood here. So I'm going to start doing that. And nice and slow, deliberately nice and slow, with control. And you know what? Why isn't this focusing again? All right, there. Thank you very much. I ordered it with my voice. Okay, so yes, nice and slow. So I want a nice amount of wood exposure here in proportion to the lead that I'm going to expose. Okay, because this wood here provides support for the exposed lead. So graphite and charcoal, they're both pretty fragile when they're exposed like that. Especially the softer leads, like you know, when you go 4B and up, that starts getting really soft there. So the more you expose your lead, the more vulnerable it's going to be to breaking. Okay, so having this really slanted exposed wood here, like this really wedge shape of wood exposed like that, is pretty supportive of the exposed lead. So like, unlike this amount of wood here, like we see in this charcoal pencil, if I had this much wood and that much lead, that would be very vulnerable and would be probably more likely to break. So having this really pointy wedge shape to support the lead is pretty helpful. It's really quite helpful to help your lead not break, okay? So if you are liking this video so far, please go ahead and please remember to like the video, share the video, and subscribe to this audiovisual channel. I have a podcast in which I talk to guests and I ask them to different kinds of people in artistic fields, and I ask them what is art and what is beauty, and those conversations are really great food for thought stuff. And I want to start to, at some point start doing this kind of tutorial sort of, I guess, videos, and like a previous one that I did called Thoughts on Things, where I just talk about art related subjects and my personal opinions and thoughts on those. So yes, so look, so check it out. So this is a nice amount of support here. So, and this is the older, sort of more blunt blade that I was talking about. So I'm gonna get this lead started with the same blunt. I mean, it's not exactly blunt, it's just blunt compared to a brand new one. So perhaps I'm kind of exaggerating it a little. The hissing and clanking is the radiator because it's a little cold outside. So never you mind the sound. So when you're sharpening with this blade or the other trapezoidal shaped blade, there are, physical forces here at play with each other, working against each other, and that is what allows us to sharpen the lead. Okay, so when you try this, consider lots of things, several things. There are 3 planes on which you can move the blade that you have. Okay, so there is this plane like this. There is this plane like this. And there is this plane like this. Okay, so those are similar to like the anatomical planes, like the transverse, coronal, and sagittal. So this one would be transverse, this one would be coronal, and this one would be sagittal. All right, so that kind of stuff is helpful to experiment with while you're shaping your lead. All right, so to get started, I'm using this blade. It's a little bit blunt, again, compared to a newer one. And I don't know about the construction of these blades, but the edge often feels different from left to right. So that's a lot of variables that you can experiment with throughout the life of the blade and like, while you sharpen your pencil. And also, of course, there is the pressure that you apply yourself with the blade and then with the pencil. So, they kind of, these are opposing forces acting against each other. And so like all of this stuff together helps to shape your blade. And well, of course, practice and patience. There is a lot of the pressure that you apply with the hand holding the blade determines a lot the outcome. So it's definitely worth practicing modulating that amount of pressure. All right, so this is getting pointy and thin there, so I'm gonna reach for the sharper blade. I mean, visually there's like not much difference between the two. It's really just the way that it feels when sharpening it. I moved that because the shadow there I feel like was interfering with. Okay, so I'm gonna So when I'm trying to make this pointier still, when I get to around this point, I soften my grip on the blade a little bit. And also I kind of start fiddling with all those, with the planes that I was telling you about, so that the tip will slowly acquire the shape that I want, which is pointy as hell. Okay? Maybe I should actually also move this light so that shadow, is that? Maybe that's a little better. All right, it's better, but it's not focused anymore. So this just, you guys, a little bit of patience here. I really appreciate it. I just want the tip to be in focus because that's the point of the video. All right, well, all right. I'm gonna keep sharpening. Just keep swimming, like Dory says. So also, all the while, I'm slowly turning the pencil around, the hand that holds the pencil, with my fingies there. So slowly, patiently, carefully. Again, this is Staedtler 2B pencil. All right, still not focusing, huh? All right. What is it here? Oh wow, I fixed it. Okay. All right. You guys, look at that. It's focused. Lovely. Okay. Anyway, slowly, patiently. It takes a little while, but we're getting there. So again, you know, when I start getting to this point of pointiness, the light colored background or the white background is super helpful to be able to see the shape of the tip there. Okay, so like this type of tip, I find it very helpful for when I'm doing detail work and when I'm trying to fill in the teeny tiny little holes on my drawing. So actually, maybe I can show you a drawing in which I would use this type of tip to fill in. So let's see, we have a skull here. So, you know, is that focused? I can't even tell. It looks like it's trying. So this skull is sideways. I mean, whatever, upside down. But then, so I would be filling this type of hole. You know? That's made by the texture of the grain versus the lead of the pencil. So then I would go in to fill this stuff out with the super pointy pencil tips. Okay? Among other things, it's also these tips are also the pencil tip. I also find it just very helpful to have pretty serious control over transitions of shadows and tone in my drawings. All right, so they're rather useful. All right, so we're almost done with this one. That's pretty nice. If you are digging this so far, if you have found it helpful, do like the video and share it with other people who you think would enjoy this information or this rough guide about sharpening a pencil to a super pointy point. Also, remember to subscribe to my audiovisual channel. All right? All right, I think that's pretty nice there. Okay, so again, this is the Staedtler 2B pencil, and I sharpened this one after the tip being blunt. So like the lead was already exposed, and I wanted to like sharpen the pencil again. Okay, so that's one. So let's move on to sharpening a pencil from scratch, like from brand new. Okay, and this is Blackwing 602. Well, I suppose you know what that is already, but I would like it if this focused. All right, whatever. All right, so we're going to start the same way. I'm going to start exposing some of the wood, also slowly. Nice and slow and patient. The Blackwings are made with incense cedar, which smells very nice. It's a very nice smelling wood, so it's pretty great when each time that you sharpen these, especially when you do it this way and you're exposing these long sections. And that same incense cedar is one of the reasons for which this won't get bugs, for example, because of that lovely intense smell. They hate that. Incense cedar is also resistant, yet it's like a firm yet malleable sort of wood, which works well as a jacket for pencils, because we have to be able to sharpen them, obviously. So it has to be the wood has to be soft enough to allow for sharpening, but strong enough to work as support for the pencil as well. All right, it's also pretty good at resisting mold. Incense cedar is great. All right, so we're exposing the lead first. I'm going to try to get this much lead all around. We should make this a little bit longer here. Okay. And again, keeping like this ratio of wood to lead, like lots of wood to the exposed lead so that it supports the lead, okay? And well, you may or may not know, but pencil and charcoal leads do not have a single shred of lead in them, okay? That term comes from, if I remember correctly, from graphite in graphite mines when they found, because you find graphite just in rocks. And so the first people who found it thought it was lead because apparently it looks a lot like lead. So there's that, but there's also the hypothesis that because of metal point drawing or in Rome or writing also, they used a lead stylus for writing and drawing, so it seems like it's possible, like the term sort of stuck around from then. All right. All right. So the harder leads, like the 2B, HB type of lead, might be easier. Like if you want to practice and start learning how to sharpen with this type of blade, that might be helpful. I should have said that earlier, but I kind of forgot. Because the lead is indeed more rigid, and it's more rigid because of the binder that it has, which is ceramic. So like the harder the lead, it means that it has more ceramic as a binder. So it might be helpful to practice and kind of get your bearings and see how it feels, because that will be like when you start getting to this point, to this sort of shape in the lead, it might be more resistant to like the pressures, you know, of the pencil and the lead in your hands kind of pressing against each other there. All right, so I'm going to start shaping this the same way. As we did in the previous one. And you can get away with a little bit of extra pressure for now, you know, because like it's a pretty even cylinder and it's relatively thick to start, you know, comparatively compared to what we're going to make it as we advance to the really sharp cone shape that we're trying to make, rough cone shape that we're trying to make, a really long pointy cone. That's basically what that is. And you know, it's obviously always a risk that the lead will break, but we must tread on anyway. All right, so that's getting nice and pointy there. It focuses on the accumulated graphite there. Yeah. So I'm sticking with this blunter, more blunt, comparatively blunt blade for now, until it gets a little pointier. And I'm gonna reach for the sharper or newer one now. Let me clear that graphite again. And all right. So at this point, I lighten the pressure that I apply on the blade and, you know, indirectly on the lead. And again, I'm constantly turning the pencil, also slowly like this gesture here. Why isn't it focusing? That's so irritating. I'm ruining my life right now. These dang things have a mind of their own, I tell you. Thank you so much. Okay, it has finally focused. All right, so yes, slowly turning the pencil, patiently wilting the tip. I'm not entirely sure if that's the term. Thank you for watching, by the way. I hope you are finding this helpful and interesting. Sharpening pencils takes a little while, depending how you do it. And if you want a super tippy tip like this, it might take a little bit of practice and patience, but you can do it. So we're close. We're getting close. Not a big deal if it breaks. We'll sharpen it more. We just must be careful with the pressure that we apply. When it gets like super thin, when it starts getting super thin, sometimes it almost feels like I'm actually allowing, like it feels like I really lighten my grip on the blade, and it feels like it's almost only the weight of the blade, and I'm just holding the angle. And it's the weight of the blade, like it's as light as possible, that permits the shaping of the tip. That is looking very pretty. Okay, so then that is the second pencil, sharpened from 0, I guess. I'm not sure what to call that, from scratch, I don't know. But so then, this is the first one we did, the Staedtler 2B. And this is the second one, the one we just finished, the Blackwing 602. Okay, so now we're gonna do the General's charcoal pencil 6B extra soft. And we're gonna start again with the slightly more blunt feeling blade. All right. I'm slowly gonna expose the lead again, charcoal in this case. I don't have that much experience with charcoal pencils. I've started using these 6B extra softs and I just liked them, so I haven't tried anything else. I think the other one that I've tried are the I don't remember what they're called. It's a British thing, Wolf, but it's spelled WOLFF. Those are very nice. I think I like those more than these. Those are super velvety feeling. The lead is. It turns out their lead is made from a combination of graphite and charcoal. Pretty nice. But also, I don't know, I've been experiencing issues with the Generals where like the lead is broken in a super weird way. Not just from the kind of breakage that you get when it falls and like the entire lead breaks or something, but more than once it happened to me that I was just like sharpening it and there was like a whole gap, like a straight clean gap between a piece of the blade and of the lead. It's pretty weird. But it has happened more than once, and I don't care for that. It seems kind of weird and sloppy. Or weirdly sloppy, I don't know. I'm not sure how to it was just so bizarre. Anyway, alright, so I like this amount of lead exposure. I'm going to try to even that out a little more. And also, these have like a weird layer of like glue or something between the, which is, I mean, normal. I just don't care for how it feels. There's a layer of glue, it's supposed to be supportive between the wood jacket and the lead itself. It's not very obvious right now. It kind of becomes more obvious as I advance on the pencils. On the pencil. I don't know, I don't care for it. I'm not super crazy about that. It also feels kind of weird and, I don't know, weird. Anyway, so we're starting out here. Hopefully I don't ruin this pencil more than it's like the shape. Sometimes they take a really weird shape and I don't care for it. So I keep wanting to tell you about the angle at which I'm holding the blade because I think that would be helpful, but I'm not sure how to like show that, I guess. Kind of like that. Sideways, and I don't know. I probably have to, in the future when I have more than one camera, to show two angles of how I'm doing it, perhaps. But so it's angled. It's angled and kind of open also towards the right. And well, right would also be your right because of the way that I am shooting this, as if you had the pencil between your legs as well. Okay. that's taking a pretty nice shape. Let me clean out that. I guess it's also difficult about the angle of the blade because I can't say that I strictly maintain the same angle the entire time that I'm sharpening. I do change it around. As I mentioned also, I think, the blade feels like it has a different sharpness from left to right. I don't know how that works, and like in the middle too. So like I'll move it around if it's feeling a little too blunt and it feels like it's not doing very much. You know, I'll move out to here or like farther in. So I guess that's why I say that you need to, it's very helpful to practice and kind of feel your way to the way that would work, that you find working best for you when you sharpen. Okay, so I'm gonna get the sharper blade now, or this tippy tip. So this is getting really nice and pointy now. And again, I'm really lightening, like the grip. The grip that I have on the blade is pretty soft at this point. And it's almost as though it's the pressure being applied on the lead is really just the very, very light weight of the blade. Why isn't it focusing? What is technology? And again, I'm slowly turning it with the hand that holds the pencil. Right, so I think that looks pretty nice. And still hasn't focused. Wow. All right. All right. I'm gonna leave it at that. I think that's very nice. Let me show you all 3 tips. Super pretty. How nice is that? Isn't that great? Isn't that just lovely? Yeah, that's very nice. Right, so these are some very nice tips for very nice detail work on your paper. I hope you found this video helpful and enjoyable. Let me know in the comments if you loved it or you just want to just punch everyone. Let me know if you have any additional questions and I will answer as best as I can. Remember to like the video, share the video, and subscribe to my audiovisual channel. I do hope to post more helpful, interesting videos about things in the future, you know, as I think of them, of course. So if you have suggestions for that, go right ahead. They're quite welcome. And yes, thank you very much for watching, and have a lovely day.